Happy Good Friday, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Happy Easter weekend. And I have that giddy feeling. I feel like Charlie right now. I have that
Yeah,
giddy
Charlie's on
feeling. I
fire.
got to work, but it looks great outside. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I was out there for a half a second and it was awesome.
Hey,
I can't
briefly,
wait to
we're
get out there.
we're having a Easter family get together here with Lisa, Lisa's side of the family, her mom, and all that, and looking forward to that a whole bunch. Are you doing anything special?
Yeah, we got invited to some friend's house, and we're just gonna have some other friends over there, and everybody's bringing food, and so yeah, it's gonna be nice.
What is a
Oh,
traditional Easter dinner? Is it ham?
well, I don't know how ham got to be the Easter dinner
But
because
it
everyone,
is.
it seems like that's
Okay,
what people do for Easter is they have a
sounds good to
ham.
me. A
Oh,
good
and my,
ham. Hams
you
can
know,
vary a little bit,
they
Mhm.
can. We're cooking a ham for
Oh,
the
good.
party, and
Meaning you're putting it in the oven and heating
yeah,
it
yeah, we have a ham, and we're
I did
actually
that for
yeah, we're not gonna.
Christmas. Yeah.
Well, and we've never done it before. I'm not
Same.
doing
It
it.
was my
Anne
first
Marie's
time.
gonna
It's
do it.
really
Y-
easy. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Okay. Welcome over 50 starting over, everyone. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison.
Okay. Just got one thing to vent about in the upfront section and then a
All
couple
right.
of health tips because I've been doing intermittent fasting again for the last couple of weeks because over the winter I put on 7 pounds. I'm at 207. I
Uh,
want to be at 200, preferably a couple pounds below that. And dude, 2 weeks later, I'm still at 207.
well, okay. So I have a question for you.
Mm.
207, 200, 7 pounds. You're a tall guy.
Mhm.
So do you notice the 7 pounds? I mean, do you
It's
feel it?
huge to me.
Is it
Yeah, yeah, you would think. I mean, if you go by a percentage of that weight, whatever that is, I don't know, what is that,
like
5% or something?
3%, three and a half
Yeah,
percent? Yeah.
okay. You wouldn't think that much. But to me, obviously, the 7 pounds is extremely hard to lose. I've been doing intermittent fasting. I watched my diet. I got some notes on that I wanted to share with you, just a couple of
Yeah,
minor
cool.
ones.
Yeah.
And I haven't lost anything. Haven't lost probably lost a pound
No,
till
that's
I was probably
frustrating.
208,
Yeah.
and now I'm 207. But
I'm fluctuating right around the same. It's somewhat the rate I got on the scale today, 206. So
mm,
it's right between
where do you like to
203.
be?
It's right in there.
Okay,
203,
you got an
206. I
inch
kind of
on me.
bounce around in
You're
there.
six
Yeah.
three. I'm 6'2". You might as well be a foot taller than me. It seems like the difference between 6'2" and 3 is a lot. My
Uh,
brother's also 6'3". He seems like a
I
giant.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, but the whole dieting thing, man, I mean, it's tough. And intermittent fasting, I've done it myself. If it doesn't work or you're not making progress towards your goal, and I don't know, I got frustrated. Intermittent fasting made me really hungry. And
Yes, it does.
I was irritable. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize that it was making me irritable until I
I
stopped doing
do.
it.
I do struggle because I've always been a voracious eater. So I
Yeah,
eat a lot during that 8 hour window.
yeah,
And
yeah. That was the other thing.
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to just double down on how clean I'm eating and, the kind of stuff I'm eating. That's why I've been doing some updating and research with chat. I'm confident that if I stick to this, I will lose several pounds. And then I know I'm going to have to go back to trying to eat smaller meals and throughout the day. I'll have to lose the intermittent fasting to shake up my metabolism again and go to smaller meals throughout the day. I've just found that's the way it works for me.
Mhm.
But in the moment, and during this, I had to ask a couple questions here and there because for one, I really have found like I love those gold potatoes.
I do too.
And I find, I mentioned this before, putting one in a glass bowl covered, don't use plastic in microwaves, people. in a glass bowl covered for, if it's a big one, say 4 minutes, and then
Uh-huh.
let it sit there covered for another few minutes because it continues to cook and you're
Uh-huh.
keeping the moisture in and it gets soft. And then I cut it up, I drizzle some extra virgin olive oil on it and put garlic salt on it. And I'm like,
Boy.
come on, man. We've been hearing the demonization of potatoes for years now, right?
Oh boy, you got that right. Yeah.
So I looked it up,
Yeah.
and I even
They're good for you.
said, yeah, I said, are we over the demonization of potatoes yet? Because you know how that stuff
Yes,
runs.
I do.
Yeah,
It's the egg, the potato. What
yeah,
can we get
coffee.
next? Milk.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I got a little on that too. Um, so it says, oh, we're absolutely over the demonization of potatoes, especially when they're prepared like you're doing, simple, clean, and whole. So it says the
Huh.
great potato redemption arc. Why they're
This is my
actually,
kind of article right
yeah,
here, man,
dude,
because I
it
love
is.
potatoes.
Me too. Well, especially those gold ones for me, personal
Yeah, yeah.
preference.
Oh no, I hear it.
Yeah,
They're so good.
they're
They're
so
so
good.
flavorful.
Yeah,
Actually, my
and they're
mouth is watering.
filling. They're
Yeah,
filling.
yeah, yeah. Go
So
ahead.
why they're actually great. High in potassium, more than a banana. We'll get to that in a minute.
Wow.
Natural source of vitamin C, B6, magnesium. Low
Uh-huh.
calorie per volume. Says
Wait,
110.
are these those this particular potato or potatoes in general?
I think it's potatoes in general.
Oh, good.
I did
I'm so
say
happy
go
to hear this.
yeah, I did say go potatoes, but I think it's potatoes in general.
Thank
Rich
God.
in resistant starch, which I've never heard of,
I've never heard of
especially
that either.
when cooled after cooking. It feeds gut bacteria, which improves insulin sensitivity.
Huh.
Why
Huh.
they got a bad rap? We know this: French fries, chips, fast food sides are not equal to potatoes. Smothered in seed oils, fried, loaded with
Right.
salt or sugar, often
Right.
consumed in massive portions with no fiber or protein. So yes, it says your method 100% on point. Microwave keeps the nutrition intact. Extra virgin olive oil is healthy fats, helps absorb the vitamins, and the garlic salt is flavor without excess junk. Served as a side or with proteins or greens, that is fire. Perfect for balance. And those that the green beans with the potatoes like that is fire.
Oh,
Or I like to do ground turkey, like think ground beef,
oh
but I
yeah.
use
Yeah,
ground
yeah.
turkey. Throw
You've
some
been
of
a
that in.
ground turkey advocate for a while.
Many years.
Yeah.
I just make it so good. I make it, I
Right,
mean, it
right.
tastes, once in a while I try ground beef because it
Yeah.
sounds like I should.
Yeah.
I do better with ground turkey. It
Do
tastes
you
better.
really?
I
Wow.
just got this recipe down. But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
throw some
You've
of
been working
that
on it.
in with that potato, as I say.
Yeah,
Oh, the
that
potato,
sounds
it's
like a
like
winner.
meat and potato kind of, it's an Irish
Yeah.
dish. I used to be Irish.
You
There
used
you
to
go.
be,
Mhm.
yeah. It's an
Yeah,
ode to
so
your old Irish.
yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to mention that and
I
I
love that. That's good stuff. Well, hallelujah. The potato is liberated
yeah.
finally, and we can eat it again. And I mean, gosh, what a bad name the potato got. On my
Let's bring it back.
Optavia, it was one of those things that you had to stay away from if you're trying
Uh-huh.
to lose weight. And so I didn't have a potato for like a year.
Yeah.
And that was tough, Barry. I love potatoes. Now I do have them, but I don't eat potatoes like I used to, but I do have those with different. I had mashed potatoes last night, and they were great.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, listen, my recipe for mashed potatoes, I call it my nearly world famous garlic mashed potatoes.
Yes.
The family always demands that I bring them to the holidays. It is simply just real quickly, just boil the potatoes, keep the skin on, mash them up. Your ingredients are milk and I asked Chad about. I've been going to almond milk for years
Yeah, I've
now,
been drinking almond milk too,
and
per your suggestion for like the last 2 years.
yeah, yeah, and it works out fine. I put it in my coffee. That's about it for the most part. But man, I love coconut. And I'm was going across that coconut milk while it's right by
Yeah.
the almond milk. And I'm like, I'm getting some coconut milk. I'm going to be bad. Um, I
Is
asked
coconut
Chad.
milk bad?
No, not at all. It was a little bit of the same kind of situation with the potato. It said, okay, so you got almost twice the calories, but you're talking about 40 calories per serving versus 70 calories. Not a big deal when you put,
Negligible, yeah.
yeah, but in my milk, it's this thick and creamy stuff, man. I put it in my coffee. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm
that
just gonna
it's
switch off, I think.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough to sacrifice those additives in your coffee. I've been drinking black coffee for a few years now,
Oh,
but
once you,
man,
I'm sure when
it's
if you're
cold
totally,
turkey.
oh, okay. I was gonna say if you're totally used to it, you're probably like couldn't even go back, probably.
Oh, yeah, I every once in a while I'll have a coffee with like cream in it, and it's like, oh, it's like kind of a treat, and it's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
nice. But I go right back to the black coffee. One thing about black coffee, it's so easy. It's just pour it and drink it,
Well,
and then
that's true. Why
you
don't you
kind of
put almond milk in it?
I tried, and you know what? Once I made that jump over to black
Mm.
coffee and forced myself to, I did the 3 week thing, but I
Uh-huh.
still didn't like it. So I did it for another 3 weeks, and then I was just kind of used to it.
Uh,
And then once I made that jump, I'm good.
yeah.
It's I
See,
can taste it now. Now I can taste coffee for what it is.
mhm.
And
I
I don't
love
know, maybe
coffee.
it's like an acquired taste without all the sugars and
Mhm.
things in it. It's like, oh, I like this coffee. I don't like that coffee. I actually can taste the difference, you know what I
Oh, I
mean,
love
from
coffee.
different coffees. Me
Coffee
too.
flavored anything or whatever. I would
Yeah.
have no problem adjusting to the black coffee. I think of putting the almond milk or coconut milk in it as added vitamins.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
like it.
That's
I
not bad. Yeah,
enjoy
it's
it,
good.
but I look at it
I
as added vitamins too.
yeah.
So
Okay,
the
so you
coconut,
mentioned you started out by talking about your goal of eating clean, and this is something that
so hard,
people are
man.
talking about more. Is so what is clean?
Mhm.
What does that mean? Does it
Sure.
mean different things to different people, or
It
is there
probably
actually
does. You
yeah,
know, if you were used to thinking that you were eating great, you might even be a vegetarian, but everything you eat is out of a box. You're not, you're doing horribly. You have a weight
there it
problem,
is,
first
right?
of all. You
Right.
do because you're addicted to those different additives in there and sugar.
Preservatives, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, harmful chemicals.
Yeah.
But eating clean is single ingredient foods such as chicken, beans, lettuce, tomato. You know, we could go down the line. There's a doctor trying to think of Saladino. I listened to a
I've heard
couple.
of
He's
him.
been on a
Yeah.
couple. Paul
I like him.
Saladino.
Yeah.
He's been on a couple podcasts of late, and he says, "Look, if your grandmother wouldn't recognize those ingredients, don't use them, or
Mm,
don't buy that stuff." So, I
that
mean,
makes
it's
sense.
pretty, you know, in certainly like the Whole Foods credo is always like you can't. There's a list of about 1,000 ingredients you can't have, and supposedly if you eat their stuff, you don't really have to look at labels, but there's still seed oils in there. We need to pick up the pace in these regards. By the way, Aldi's also has their kind of brand like Whole Foods has their 365 brand. Look, you're going to do infinitely better if you just stick with those. At Aldi's, much more cost effective. They have their brand called Simply Nature, so-called organic. Yes, you'll find some seed oils and stuff in there, but you're going to do infinitely better if you buy that line of stuff. So that's a great start. But other than that, it's single ingredient food. So you know what a great snack is?
Mm.
Celery with all natural organic peanut butter, meaning the
Oh, that's good
ingredients.
stuff.
Look at the ingredients because that varies. It should be peanuts and salt, maybe salt.
Hmm.
Some are just peanuts.
Hmm.
Peanuts and salt. Dip that celery in that, man, that's a delicious snack.
That is good stuff
Bananas,
right there.
bananas with that same peanut butter. Really,
Bananas.
really good. Greek yogurt, man, great. But look at the ingredients again. I'm not perfect with this. I'm just trying to get
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
It's so
No,
damn
this is
hard.
good. I think your recommendation to look at ingredients is really key. And I
It's
think we all
everything.
have to start to become a lot better at that because there are certain things in the ingredients that should be tremendous red flags. We've talked about that on the show before, but I mean, I've been guilty of just picking up something that I see that I like, and then I eat
Yeah.
the whole thing. Then I read the label, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
What are these things? It's like hieroglyphics back here.
Yeah, and I'm going to just recommend once again the podcast that I did with Dr. Livingston, Glenn Livingston. He talks about this stuff a bit and how we like to fool ourselves. Oh, it's avocado, it's fried in avocado oil. Yeah, yeah. I'm guilty of
Right,
that. Yeah, yeah.
right.
I'm guilty of that too. So we could just pick up the pace on that a bit, and hopefully RFK Jr. makes some big headway in cleaning up our FDA, which we've been paying to kill us for decades, in conjunction with so the
Man.
pharmaceutical industry could save us with Ozempic, right?
Boy, he's been coming out with some really amazing stuff lately around autism. I don't have
Oh
this in
yeah,
front
yeah.
of me right now,
Hmm.
but this week he
He's
was
been
giving
talking
out
about it
some
for years.
amazing statistics
He
that we've
said
been
by
talking about.
September he's going to
Well,
have a list of the evidence.
and just this week he talked about how, that the numbers for autism had moved to 1 in 32 when really in our lifetime at one point it was 1 in 10,000.
Exactly.
And but then he talked about recent studies that he's been conducting where in the state of California, boys, it's 1 in 12.
Oh my God.
Now, they're still researching this. One of the things about California is that the reporting there is better than other states. So that actually might be saying that it's not 1 in 32 across the nation. It could be 1 in 12. It
Yeah.
seems like boys are more impacted by autism than girls are. And boy, I mean, this is just reaping havoc on people's families. I mean, really, it's people that have a child with autism. It's very hard to manage for the child and for the parent, and it's going to take a lot more resources for them. And this is a terrible thing. I
It's
mean,
awful.
I mean, when I was a kid, I never even heard of autism,
Right.
and
It's like, what was that? I vaguely heard of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was watching a show the other day where it was a documentary about World War II, and I love those kind of things.
Hmm.
And they were talking about how Hitler, before the war, they were eliminating people that had these illnesses, and one of the illnesses that they talked about was autism. And they said he was killing people with autism, but I thought, huh, that's interesting because I never even heard of autism until like the 1980s. So how many people could have had autism back then? And then I started thinking these were scholars today that were saying this, and I started thinking, I feel like they're pulling the wool over my eyes on this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, right? Like, okay, autism has been this big problem this whole time. That's not true. It's just not true. This is
Mm,
something that's been recent, and it looks like there's an environmental
for
effect here.
sure.
There's something that's causing this to happen that wasn't happening before.
I want to make a point to that this was first brought about to my attention 20 years ago about, and I remember Jenny McCarthy was
Yes,
leading the charge for a big,
yes.
and this is 15 years
A
ago,
friend of mine
probably.
was babysitting for her child, actually,
Oh my
that we
God,
lived next door
really?
to. Yes, in
And
Los Angeles.
I thought, okay, first of all, she seems like a total bimbo. And, I'm not getting my science from an ex playmate. But
Right.
here's the real point. Yet another conspiracy theory that we all laughed at, demonized, made fun of comes true. Let's get used to this by
And
now.
Jenny McCarthy is a lot smarter than people give her credit for. If you listen to what she said about this, that whole, like you say, bimbo thing is an act. That's not really who she is. And when she's speaking about autism, she's been very, very succinct and on point.
Like I said, I want to make the point about the conspiracy theories. I've been saying for a while now. Now, when I hear conspiracy theory, oh, my ears prick up and I'm listening.
Mine too. Mine
Yeah,
too. Isn't it something?
isn't that
I,
something?
yeah,
I
yeah.
just want a final thing in this upfront section. I wanted to talk about leaf blowers are back here in Cleveland.
The leaf blowing
Dude,
brigade.
soon as you want to open up that window, blah! you
You would
know?
not believe what happens to me here. So my office is right in the front of my house, and anytime I have an important meeting, the leaf blowers show up.
I
I
was
mean,
gonna
it's like,
ask you if
how do they know?
you guys actually have leaves?
Yeah,
I'm
well, no. Well, yeah,
no.
we have
You
leaves.
got
I mean, it's different here.
tumbleweeds.
We have all kinds of things that blow around here.
Yeah. Lizard
I
skin.
mean, uh,
Yeah.
snake skins too. Uh, and all, God knows what else. But
Yeah.
these leaf blowers are out here every day, and it's like everyone's got a leaf blower, and they
Are
all
they
come out at the
really
same time.
loud? Do they
Oh
seem
my,
like they're getting louder every year?
yeah, yeah. It's like this guy over on this side, his leaf blower guy. It seems like he loves his leaf blower, man. He's out there almost every day. It seems like he's out there with. Whoa!
So it's a big gas one?
It's
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 got
a
to be if it's that
gasoline
loud.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
He's and that thing is on fire, man. And
Yeah.
I can't even believe we have noise canceling on our these calls and everything that we're
Yes.
on, and
Yes.
they can't hear it,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
can't hear them. I mean, it's like, are you kidding? And then there'll be a break, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay, could you say that again? Then turn it on. Oh!
It's awful. So it's been getting to me worse and worse every year. And I went on, this is my point. I wanted to share with you particular. I went on next door to vent
Oh
about it, right?
God. The
But I
perfect
did
place.
so in a very smart way. I know what I'm getting into there. I don't have I unsubscribed to all that stuff, several years ago. But I went on there, and this will resubscribe you because they always want to try to get you back on there as long as
Yeah.
you censor yourself appropriately. And I just simply said, it was like two sentences. I
Yeah.
said, here we are with the noise pollution from leaf blowers again. I wish there'd be a mandate to go from either muffle the gas powered ones, which I'm sure we can,
Yeah, right.
or use electric/battery powered ones. That's all I said. And so it subscribed me to the notifications again, which I
What?
immediately unsubscribed from because I knew what would happen. So I go back on there like a day later, and there's like 30 replies to it. And every third or fourth one is a self-righteous one about, oh, first you want us to clean up our yards, and now we can't use leaf blowers. And of course, I worded it carefully to say, like, I even gave them an out, like electric battery operated leaf blowers. I mean, in Cleveland Heights, you'd think they'd be all
Yeah,
over that,
I thought for
right?
sure they'd be all over that.
So I left that there for them to, yeah. But it was all, oh, you don't want us to use leaf blowers. Not what I said. I said two tiny, succinct sentences. And I
Yeah.
never, I replied to one lady who was trying to
Uh,
bait me with her rheumatoid arthritis. And
what does that have to do with it?
yeah, she said, so she goes, what do you use, Barry? And I replied, I knew what I knew it was bait again. I replied,
Right, right.
I rake personally, but my point was that we should muffle the gas powered leaf blowers or use the electric/battery powered leaf blowers because of the noise. And she replied, and then I never actually looked at it again. But I'm sure
Good.
that she was like talking about how, I have to use, she said something about arthritis. Oh, I have to use a leaf blower. Like, okay, fine. I'm sure she's using an electric leaf blower. She's not out there, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Carrying around a big battery pack or
Yeah, she's
big,
got a backpack. Yeah,
yeah, the
exactly. She's going to the
motor on her
moon.
back. Yeah. So it's next door being next door. And so back to being unsubscribed 100%. But it was fun. I
You
encourage you all to
swooped
do
in
that.
there.
I
Yeah,
did and
yeah.
swooped
It,
out.
it's
Yeah.
it's great to like leave a bomb there
I
and
did. I
then
dove
when
in, I
you're out.
dropped a bomb, and I swept out. Yeah.
Everybody was all mad.
Yeah.
That is actually pretty fun right there. I think there's a great tip is don't look at the feedback. Just throw it in there and then
True.
you're out, you know.
That's
Instead,
exactly
look
right.
at the feedback, you might actually get mad and now you're sucked into this syndrome.
But I thought a lot about that too. I think like if I could just on a personal level grow more and be the type that can totally go in there and look that all over. It doesn't bother me in the slightest and reply that one time and continue on with my day. That's next level. That's enlightened.
You know what? I hear you on this. This is important because I
I
think this
do.
is the difference between being able to enjoy social media
Uh-huh.
and being a captive of social media. Like
There are
I,
positives.
there's a form of
Communication.
bondage though. With these,
Bondage.
yeah, because here's what I'm talking about is you put something out there that might be controversial, and then here's what happens is after you put it out there, then your brain is all, oh my God, what are people going to think about that? Are people going to say that? People are going to be mad about that. Now you're obsessed. You can't stop thinking about it. Did somebody respond? Did somebody respond? You go, somebody did respond, and it is crappy. And
Yeah.
it gets you right in the heart. And then you're mad and you go, oh, I'll show that person. And then you put a response out there. Then the whole thing starts all over again. Oh my God, what are they going to say? What are they thinking? Is
Now
somebody
you
else
can
going to see this? And
takes from your work. It
that's
definitely
exactly,
detracts
this is
from
what
your
I'm talking
work.
about. This is a bondage. Like
Mm,
now you're obsessed with this stuff. You're
mm.
thinking about it. You're dreaming about it. You're not actually focused on the things that are important. You're
Uh-huh.
vexed. Your brain. You're unhappy. All this kind of stuff. This has happened to me.
We
You're
all know the feeling.
sweaty. Anything you put out there that is even very important. So things we talk about on the show. I remember when we first started doing the show, and I know it goes out on social media, and everybody's going to see it, all your friends and family. Sometimes I would freak right out after
I hate
after the
posting.
show was
Every
over.
week
But
when I post it, I cringe.
I've gotten a lot better at it. I mean I send it, I post it, I put it to my friends and everything, and I rarely look at the feedback. I get feedback on my text messaging, but those are all
Hmm.
my friends. They're not
Hmm.
gonna
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
they're not gonna say that's kind of safe there. But yeah, the feedback part, sometimes I want to put a truth out there and I want to put it out in a loving way, but I know that it's probably going to be attacked and I
Uh-huh.
just don't even
Sure.
look at the feedback.
Well, I got you. This is what I mean about if we could get there where we don't feel those feelings, they're
Yeah,
just feelings. If we didn't, I mean, we would be
you're right.
enlightened beings. We would
I
be next
agree.
level. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think there are people that do that.
I think you're right about that. And I think it takes a lot of character to be
Hmm.
able to do something like
Hmm.
that. Like, for
Hmm.
instance, I like to watch Charlie Kirk when he goes to college
Yes. Yeah, I
campuses
do
and he
too.
talks to these
Hmm.
people, and these people say some pretty rude
Attack,
stuff to him,
attack
right?
every time.
But he's like Teflon.
Uh-huh.
But I did see a clip where somebody said something. It was that guy that's Shank, I think is his
Oh
name is.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
said something from the
Young
audience to
Turks.
Charlie Kirk. Yeah, from the Young Turks. And Charlie, oh, it was the one time I saw him, like the pride got the best of him, and it wasn't pretty.
Oh,
Like that,
really?
as 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 together as Charlie is, and he really is, I
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
say, that
He's
guy,
got an answer for everything.
he's solid. He really is solid. But that one time you get tripped up really steals from your credibility.
And people
And
can
to
replay that forever, you know?
exactly, and to your point, it's like I think right now, especially with all the controversy going on, and we've said this before, it's like remaining calm is really a talent right
It
now,
is.
and a talent we need to all be honing.
Let me tell you this, though, Merle. If you and I were that next level, and I think that it's something to aspire to, if we were that next level and we put this out there on Twitter and asked a couple questions or made a couple of statements, because when what we say on here, and we often disagree, it's controversial.
Yes,
And if we
it
said
is.
that and followed up with it on Twitter, we would explode. We would explode. And as long as it didn't get to us and we only replied once a day, like,
We've said this before. Yeah.
mhm. And if we just really like just were that calm about it, I'll check once a day, but that's it. Because I got a personal life that needs my attention, and I got a work life that needs 100% of my faculty. I can't give it away to Twitter, and that's what people do. So if we were at that level Seriously, this show would explode because of our conversations.
Well, you know, it's interesting as you're talking about this. Again, it's Good Friday, and I'm thinking about Jesus and how that is what he did. I mean, he confronted people with the truth that was controversial, and then he didn't run from that. And I mean, and the popularity of that message still like it's still the best-selling book out
Yeah,
there, you
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like over 2000 years, that thing's gone viral, right? And this is a secret. I think what you're saying is you need to be, what do they call it in psychology? You need to be a self-actualized person.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
when we talk about this, like we talk a lot about our critical thinking skills. And one of the main tenets of critical thinking skills is not being married to your
Hmm.
ideas and your
Hmm.
opinions
Hmm.
and being able to question even your own opinions. And so if we could do that, you're right. I think you're right. That's a very unique kind of person. And those kinds of people, there's an attraction to that.
Well, it's true, but you also have to know, and I've
Yeah.
actually experienced this to a minor extent, is that when you piss off the wrong crowd on Twitter, they have a team of 1,000 people and will go through everything about you online and try to shape it and get all their people canceling you. The cancel culture. It's
Yeah.
real.
It is
And
real.
yeah, when you get the gang, the Twitter mob all over you, I'll tell you what though, if it doesn't phase you, I'm back to this. If it doesn't phase you, you will survive, come out on the other side of it, and have a lot of leverage. You'll win
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
if you
You're
can
right.
survive it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's the thing is, can you do that? And like you said, we've seen people out there that can do it, really
Hmm.
good at it.
Hmm.
There's definitely an attraction, and you've really got to be able to be a good communicator too,
Yeah.
with some knowledge.
Yeah, I think more than everything, it's mastering your own fears and emotions. But it's really next level, dude,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do that.
I'm right there with you.
All right. Do you want to get into some current events? I got
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
few and I want to hear yours.
I, I had something. If you actually
Let's
would
not go
share your
into it. Let's
screen.
talk about what they are. Let's put it out there. Let me share
Yeah, yeah,
mine. You
got it.
give me your headlines, all right?
All right.
Kid killer goes free. Talk about the Carmelo Anthony thing. That's really huge in the news right now. Trump targets Harvard and foreign students.
Yes.
And that ties into my next headline, which is the woke right. You're a bigot. When
Oh,
people on the right, conservatives go woke. I got a lot to say about that.
I do too. It's so funny that you are talking
Really?
about that because I've got it right up here, Harvard, and I have this
Good.
video
Okay, hold
that I
on to
want to
that.
share
I'm
too.
glad you
That's
got
so
a video because I
shocking.
don't.
Okay.
Next one. I have one video and I just got it right before you were a few minutes late. You gave me a chance to do this. Fake women go into fake space. Can't wait to talk about that for 2 minutes and no
That's so funny.
longer than 2 minutes.
Okay. All
And
right.
then,
That
dude,
sounds good.
my last one, I think it's my last one, is the Florida shooter, the mass shooting at Florida State
Yeah. Yeah.
University,
Those
yet
are
another,
terrible.
and the controversy that always drums up. That's all of mine. What else you got?
Every time, every time. So, California on the mind here. A lot of California in the news here. California sues over tariffs. Newsom's
I
asking for
didn't know
billions of
that.
dollars here
Oh, I
to
could see
as a
why.
bailout for Medicare, Medicaid, and an update on the recovery from the fires. That
I
blows
haven't
me
heard
away.
this either. Can't wait to hear that. What else you got? Is that it?
I got a few other things here, but those are the ones I want to cover, and we'll
I
see
want
what
to hear
else we
about the
have here.
fires, the update right away, please.
Okay, so here's the deal, Barry. I mean, you look at this thing and it's un I was about to say unbelievable, but this is totally par for the
Yeah.
course.
Mm.
Nearly 100 days after the Los Angeles fires, only a handful of permits given to homeowners to rebuild homes. This is Uh, this is really good. This is an article that I was. This guy's very, very, very critical. So I'm just going to read it the way that he wrote it, so that you can see the feelings that are coming out of here. But remember the halcyon days after the Los Angeles fires, when the governor of California and the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, promised that they would cut through all the red tape and get rebuilding quickly. Well, good times indeed. Well, promises made, promises kept. The bureaucracy kicked into high gear, and the permits for building are flying off the bureaucrat's desk and out the doors of City Hall at breakneck pace. As of the end of last month, four, count them, four permits have been issued.
Are you kidding?
That for the city must be a record. It's an all hands on deck operation, working around the clock, figuring out how to use this crisis. I mean, opportunity for you have to play Sim City with hundreds of acres of prime real estate. Uh,
Oh,
here's and you just go into this, Barry. This is a cluster. This is we knew this was going to happen. So it's
yeah.
100 days, only four permits. Thousands of people have lost their houses. They hired a czar, and this guy,
It's always a bad thing.
Steve Soboroff. He's a billionaire himself, very arrogant. He was talking about how we want to make sure you guys don't lose your maids. Trump's trying to
Right.
deport them across the border, and
Oh
it's
my
like,
God. That
wow, this
sounds
is
so racist right there. I mean, we
it
could really get into that.
was terribly racist,
Yeah.
but but he's in charge of it. Well, they fired him, and then
Oh,
they put somebody else in charge. And let's see, within weeks, Bass announced she was hiring an Illinois-based company to do the rebuilding project management for up to $10 million. Oh, this got real ugly because the guy Soberoff ended up saying that, oh, well, she must have just wanted a elderly white guy to represent her. So now it's getting into the racism
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
They're all, this thing is just terrible. Meanwhile, the people that lost their houses are sitting there with nothing. There is nothing at
Sounds like
all.
Maui, right?
It's exactly like Maui.
Hmm.
And what is going to happen here? My guess is that we're going to see the hedge funds move into
Yep.
that area and
Good call.
completely take it over.
Good
It's going
call.
to be high-rise apartments over there, and that whole beautiful land is going to be a huge profit center for the globalists.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for the
It's
update. I
sad.
didn't know anything about that.
It's a sad
California is a
thing.
freaking mess. Always.
It really is,
Why?
and
Because of the amount of money involved there. That it ruins everything.
really does. This is in that area that we're talking about is really the most beautiful area of Los Angeles, and it was the most expensive area of Los Angeles
Yeah.
as well. Pacific Palisades, and people would die to live there in one of those houses. It's just amazing how quickly that got consumed. And when is it ever going to come back? Who knows? Who knows?
Gotcha. Okay. What was the other one above that you had?
Gavin Newsom is asking for $2.8 billion in bailouts
Oh,
for
right.
California's Medicaid program after he opened it up to illegals. This is on top of the
Oh,
$3.4 billion loan issued last week. This marks
oh.
nearly $6.2 billion in just a few weeks. Why should taxpayers fund
Haven't
Medicaid for illegals?
haven't we already paid enough? No. I just say it every week. I want my money back. No, don't give more money out for that fake Biden administration's evil doings. I mean, they've already wrecked the country, and California's got to turn its ass around like right now.
Well, the problem is that now we're all on the hook for it. And
Hmm.
this is what I'm so angry about, Barry, is that this is why I moved out of California. I could see this is supposed to be the benefit of living in the United States, is that the states actually have rights,
Yes,
and they have their own laws and their own culture, and it's like 50 different countries inside of one country. That's why they call it the United States.
we need to get back to that.
Each state has its own culture. And if you don't like it, you can leave and pick one of the other
Yeah,
49 states. And
yeah.
that's what I did. I left California, because I could see that my choice in living in California was going to destroy me and my pursuit of happiness because they were sucking me dry with taxes and fees and all these regulations. I couldn't even go to the store because of COVID, all that kind of stuff. I left. One of the first things they did was they tried to get all the unemployment they paid me after I got fired during COVID. They tried to extract that back. Then it
Right.
turns out they gave billions of dollars to criminals over this illegal unemployment scam over
Hmm.
COVID, but they wanted the money back from me.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
and now you've got this whole thing where they opened it up to illegal aliens coming into the country. They gave them free health care. Here in this article, this is interesting right here. This person is saying that their experience with this whole COVID, I'm sorry, with Medicare, Medicaid, this woman is 60 years old. She's paying over $1,000 a month for her insurance.
Oh my God.
She's got to wait in lines to get into her doctor. Meanwhile, she's at the doctor's office, and there's an illegal that's sitting next to her, and there's an interpreter that's talking to this person to tell them what the deal is about their health care, and she understands Spanish, so she can understand what's going on. And what she finds out is that this person's deal is that he's got complete zero deductible.
My God.
Everything's completely paid for his Medicaid, and he just gets like front of the line kind of stuff like VIP treatment. And now Gavin Newsom, because of his self righteousness, because he's what are you, virtue signaling, he's like the king of virtue signaling.
Yeah.
He gives away the people's money to these people that don't deserve it, and
Can't figure
then
out
he
how that's going to go
decides
wrong.
the rest of the country should pay for that. I
Yeah, it's
say,
ridiculous.
heck no.
No.
We shouldn't be given that. He made that decision. The people of California need to pay for that. And if the people of California don't like it, they should get out of
Right.
California. That's what you do. You don't penalize the rest of the country
Right.
for your virtue signaling.
A quick question. What the heck is anything else going to ever go on with Doge? Because I was, like most of us, so excited about we are going to reduce the size of government. Thank God. Back to what we were just talking about. The power should go back to the states. This US government should be a framework that goes over top that and should be running everything. It's the largest organization in the history of mankind. No wonder it's corrupt and evil. So is there any Doge left? Is there ever going to be any more movement?
I think so. And I mean, we are still seeing these big revelations that are coming out. I mean, the Treasury Department is next, Barry. That's what they're looking at. And the Supreme Court just gave them authorization to look under every rock and stone that is in the Treasury Department. So this is the big deal. We're going to see. This is where the sausage is made. It's in the Treasury Department, and it has to do between the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve Bank. Remember that video that we
Oh
looked at
yeah.
and how they're manufacturing
Hmm.
money between them?
Hmm.
That's going to be interesting because this is exactly how the globalist machine is funded. And this is how all of our wealth is being commandeered out of our bank accounts, our 401ks. It's in that process right there. And
All
if this
right.
gets exposed to the people and people can understand it, that's the big deal
It
because
is.
there's a smoke screen over this called the social media
Mhm.
and mainstream media that's going to make the Trump administration look absolutely criminal for digging into this.
Well, I got a prediction here, and it's an easy one. I predict we will hear almost nothing more about this, like the Epstein files that we were promised, and that was the first big failure with these promises. And the reason for that is, I mean, this is an easy call when you're talking about the banks and the economy. It's the biggest epicenter of power in the entire world.
Yeah, it really
If
is.
they can hide the Epstein files, they can bury this. That's for sure.
I mean, but how long can they hold that line? I think this is one of those situations where the dam um, can only hold so much because as the people are getting more and more awake to the situation that the federal government, doesn't matter if it's Republicans or Democrats, it's the federal government has been robbing us blind all of this
Yeah,
time. The
yeah.
will of the people. I mean, you're starting to look at these polls that are out there, like for instance, the whole deportation thing. It's something like 89% of the general public is for deportation of all of the people that have come across illegally. So I think what we're going to see here is that, government of the people, by the people, and for the people is exactly what is needed, and it's very powerful. And as people start to realize they have lost their right to life and uh, uh, liberty and all of these types of things, we're going to make a change and it's going to
Well,
happen.
I hope you're right. I highly doubt, I dispute that 89% people in America support deportation. There's a large contingency, and it's the whole Trump fueled thing of, oh, well, when Obama was for deportation, it was the greatest thing in the world. Trump gets for it, and they go with the opposite. And it's just like, we had the conversation, I think it was last week, about nutrition. I just found out nutrition, talking about that, is now political with a neighbor. Oh, RFK Jr. And it's like the virtue. I had a funny thought. I mean, as morbid as it is, if you lose a toe to diabetes, it's going to be like, that's your virtue signal. Lose a whole foot, you're the best.
What a
And
hero. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
so
but let me just say this is, regarding polls, never trust polls. I'm right there
oh, I
with you on
don't,
this.
I don't.
They can be manipulated so easily.
Whatever
However,
you want in a poll, you'll find it.
that's
It's out there.
exactly right.
Yeah.
But I will say this, that Trump winning, that was his number one agenda item, was the deportation part. And we know that cheating and all kinds of stuff was how they, for God's sakes, they tried to murder him. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
uh, he wins against all odds. So it's got to be more than 50%. That's all I'm saying. There's got to be a majority that are in on that because that was his number one, and he did get the popular vote.
I want to ask you something, your opinion. And it's just a quick aside. Let's get back on track. But I've heard someone say that I'm close to that the Trump assassination attempt was faked.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
How I've tried to look into that. What is the argument?
I don't think
That
there is an argument. I think the argument is it's Trump. And so Trump bad.
But I'm serious. Is the argument that they had this marksman shooter there, and Trump turned at exactly the right time, and so they only grazed him? Like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Like
going
it
to
was
stand
it's the old
still.
Barney Oakley, right? Like
Yeah,
just stand still.
right. Trust me, I'm only going to graze you. Act
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
natural.
I'm
Act
good at
natural.
this.
I
Act
wonder.
natural.
Yeah, I
I'm
just
doing some
wondered if
good
you.
acting.
I
And then
wondered if.
stand up and go fight, fight, fight. Okay.
Right.
Like that's what you
I
come on.
thought you might have some insight on that one because I never could
I don't know
piece
how
that.
you fake. I've heard, look, everything that Trump does, somebody comes in and says just the opposite without any kind of evidence. And for some reason, they get all kinds of attention when there should be no attention paid to this kind of thing. Look, the whole thing, I mean, what we're hearing in the news, you almost have to say, no matter what side it is like, I wonder if that's true.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
of
start
course.
just looking at it. It's just like the poll number I just gave you.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. That's what I heard. I can't. I didn't say it. That's what I heard. It could be true. It might not be true. We have to start looking at other things. Like I said, well, then look at the popular election. That was his number one thing. It's got to be more than 50%. So it's somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
our critical thinking skills.
Follow up question with that. I don't know where this stands. Deportation. I've not been hearing anything about mass deportations. Nothing. Zero.
Uh,
There's the obvious stuff about the gang members going to El Salvador, but that's all I've heard. So, and I, conflicted feelings. I would like the all the ones that came over in the last 4 years. And God, I wish I could sift through them myself and say, no, those are really good people. Don't take them.
Right.
All of that. But where does all this mass deportation stuff stand? Do you know?
Well, I don't know. I do know that there are high profile deportations like the El Salvador ones, but I have not heard of, and keep hearing about these ICE raids that are happening, but I haven't heard any numbers or anything like that. It seems like every time there's a deportation, though, there's some kind of high profile thing like the stuff that's in the news right now.
Yeah.
But, this is interesting stuff because I think, what was this last thing where the guy is down there and the senator went down there to get him and everything, and
Yeah.
it's really turned
Okay,
into
what
like
you're talking
press,
about is this one guy that was supposed to be innocent that got deported to the
right?
torture chambers of El Salvador, and then
Yeah.
they try to get him out. The last I heard, like this morning on a podcast, is boy, I hope I heard this right, that he's actually proven to be a gang member of the M13s or whatever they're called.
MS-13, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, two judges have said that he's a member of MS-13. He has been through the court system here plenty of times in the time that he's been here. He's got the gang tattoos for MS-13, which is see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil.
Hmm.
He's been caught wearing the apparel with other MS-13 members in a gang raid, and these people don't hang out with just normal people. That's part of the gang code. So his wife has said that she has been beaten by him on multiple
Yeah, I
occasions,
heard
and
that.
that's gone to court. So this this is the whole thing, is that you see one of the first news articles I saw was Maryland father gets deported, and that
Yeah.
was the story. And so it's like, what, the story keeps evolving. Well, no, he's an MS-13 guy. Now, then I heard a story about how he was suspected of human trafficking back in 2002 as he was coming from Texas to Maryland with a whole bunch of people in his car, and they all said it was all hokey. Like, this guy doesn't seem like a good guy. This seems like it's kind of the George Floyd kind of thing. Like, let's
Mm,
use this guy who is a
hmm.
human tragedy in himself and try to make an American, conflict out of this person. So it's like one side versus the other. And
You
and
know,
that's these people are used for that kind of thing,
man,
right?
that's a really good point. There's a lot of good points there. I mean, for one, when I hear all this, I don't know what to believe. What I do know
Right.
is both of those teams are in private rooms saying, how do we frame this? And, the
Right.
first one is the Maryland father, blah, blah, blah. Then over here, oh, we got to turn him into a gang member. Like, what's the most horrific crap we can come up with and find a judge that'll say that? I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know
either.
what the truth is, but you said here's the next George Floyd thing, which makes me see you're leading me right to two different articles, and I want to know where you want to go because we got the Trump targeting the Harvard and foreign students, and then we got the Carmelo Anthony, who's probably the next George Floyd.
Oh,
Where do you
and
want to
wait,
go?
and also there's a Letitia James story out there I got to
Oh,
cover too. I got a
do
video
that
on that.
right
It's
now
awesome.
because
Okay.
I heard something about that this morning, but I don't remember what. I was
This
like
is
trying to make a
fun.
mental note.
This
Yeah.
is just fun for me because I gotta say, Letitia James is kind of a person, not kind of, she's a person that I would not want as a next door
No,
neighbor.
you would not. No, you would not.
Just not a very desirable person. But anyhow, here's the story: is that Trump administration referred New York Attorney General Letitia James for possible prosecution over allegations of mortgage fraud. The referral signals a dramatic turn in the ongoing legal battles between red state leadership and blue state officials who've long used their offices to target opponents. So James, known for her relentless pursuit of Trump, now finds herself under scrutiny. Here's the deal on this. This is kind of funny, too. Um, she is in trouble because of a real estate fraud. What she's done here is two things. She owns property, and it's an apartment. It's got 5 units to it. She's had it since 2002, and she got the loan, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae kind of loan, like a federal loan. But federal loans have a lot of stipulations on whether you can get a loan or not. In this particular case, Freddie Mae, Fannie Mac will not do a loan for apartment complexes that are more than 5 units because these loans are supposed to be for underprivileged people, which
Mm.
Letitia James is not an underprivileged person. But the loan, if it were 4 instead of 5 units, hers is 5 units, you get a lower interest rate. You just get a much better deal on the loan because these larger places are more risky, and the federal government is compensating for some of this because of your low income status. So she has put in that that's a 4 unit apartment for the last 20 years
So
or
that's a
20 or
little
so years.
irony here.
Well, this is the whole thing is
The
that
real
she was
estate
bringing
fraud.
Trump to trial because she was saying that he had misstated the value of the
Ah,
home that he was
yes.
selling,
Yeah.
which the bankers were saying, no, this is exactly what we believe the home was worth, and we would do business with him again. Meanwhile, she's got this thing that she's been cheating on for the last 20 some years. Also, she bought a property in 2023 in Virginia while she was the district attorney, saying that that was her primary residence in Virginia. Well, legally, her primary residence has to be in New York if she's going to serve as the district attorney. And she does have a property in New York, which she has filed as her primary residence. Now, filing in Virginia, saying that that's her primary residence, gives her a lower interest rate on her Freddie Mae, Fannie Mac loan, and also gives her all these privileges as an underprivileged person financially. So the Department of Justice has just nailed her on that, and she is not happy about this whole thing. She's actually going to fight back over this whole thing, and this is really all about Donald Trump, anyhow, and what a bad orange guy he is. I actually have a video here
Ah,
of
sound.
Letitia, and she's really making her case. But I got to say this that she sounds insane to me. Let's see what you
My
think.
mission is clear. I'm focused. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been trained by the best. I went to Howard University that overturned legal segregation in this country. I've been taught in those classrooms where Thurgood Marshall once taught. I'm not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you. We're standing up for you. We're fighting on. We're not going down silent. Victory, my friends, is clear.
It
It's
gets worse.
now. And I'm not waiting 4 years. I'm waiting 2.
She's doing the
Until a
High
speaker
Hitler.
by the name of Hakeem Jeffries comes to bring us some rest. Come on, ladies. It's up to us. We saved this democracy before. We'll save it now. Let's go.
Oh my God, a
Can you
cheerleading
imagine
episode.
following
I'm
some of
just
that?
saying, like they like to pull that one image of Musk holding his arm out and claiming that that was the Heil Hitler thing, and
Yeah.
she did it like 8 times.
I know she did, and she's never going to get called on that. She's yelling up there. Usually, when people are innocent, they don't have to scream like that.
Yeah, that was a bunch of smoke and
It was
mirrors.
telling this is a person. Okay, she's got to have her day in court over this whole
Mhm.
thing, so maybe she's innocent. I don't know. She
Sure.
sure does sound guilty to me. But I mean, what sweet justice. Here's a person that tried to commandeer the United States government.
Lawfare.
She knew best.
It's treasonous.
She ran on a platform of I'm going to get Trump, and nobody is above the law. That's
Yeah.
what she said.
Yeah.
Even and so, boy, talk about the chickens coming home to roost on this one. But doesn't it point to this whole thing of haven't we seen this whole of these politicians accusing the other guy, their opponent, of this
Oh
terrible
yeah.
thing, and it turns out they're guilty
It's
of
always
that
the moral
behavior?
authorities. I mean, look at Elizabeth Warren and coming. I mean, it comes out that about her claiming to be a minority. Oh my
Uh,
God, that she'll never live that down, and yet it's done nothing to hurt her career. I don't think.
I don't think it has either.
Yeah,
Like it seems like the New England politics, it doesn't matter. You look at like Bernie Sanders, he's going around with
I
AOC
know.
on their oligarchy tour and
Oligarchy. That's how he says it. It's an
oligarchy.
oligarchy.
It's an
Yeah,
oligarchy. And yet
he's
his
such a
plane,
fraud.
the plane that they're on, Barry, is like a $10,000 an hour plane.
Yeah,
Like
there's no
what
talking
you have
sense
to
to these
be in
people.
the oligarchy in order to
Yeah.
or fly around and do they are the
And
oligarchy.
and when it gets found out that he has three properties, one's a lake house, and he's a millionaire, he started switching his rhetoric from millionaires to billionaires.
Oh yeah,
Everything about that guy is a
yeah.
total fraud.
But it's like how is it that people are falling for this stuff? It's just
It's
it's so
Black Lives
crazy.
Matter. How many properties did that one broad buy?
I mean, she had the place in Topanga Canyon. I know that, and they all started getting mansions. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's the thing, man. Wait, I did want to cover this last thing about California, which
Mm.
is that
Boy,
they're
you're on
suing.
California today.
Oh, I'm so angry about what they've done. They're trying to screw everybody, not just the Californians anymore, but
Right.
it's
Oh, this guy. Oh no.
he's great, isn't he?
Oh,
Today, I announced a lawsuit on behalf of the state of California suing the Trump administration. California is the largest manufacturing state in our union, one of the largest trading partners around the globe. No state will be impacted more than the state of California as it relates to the unilateral authority that's being asserted by the Trump administration to impose the largest tax increase in modern American history.
oh, I can't stand this
Um,
guy.
Interesting that he's asking for $6.2 billion from us, and now he wants to sue the administration over tariffs. And you have to look at the business model that
Look at
the
their track
California.
record under him. What the hell's wrong with California, man? I mean, the voters.
How That's a great question, Barry, and it's been perplexing to me. I mean, when we had that recall vote of Gavin Newsom when I was living there, I remember when he didn't get recalled, I was demoralized. It was like,
Yeah,
well, okay, then this
right.
is never going to change because the California voters seem to be supporting all of this. So I
Right.
guess I got to leave.
I,
But it's so hard to believe that they could support that kind of thing in mass.
I had a really good conversation with your brother a couple nights ago, Scott, and which incidentally was he called. It was 8 o'clock at night. I was making this really tough decision about buying a new iPhone. A lot of money, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Just
And
buy a car, buy an iPhone.
yeah, right, right. And so, anyways, literally any minute now, my new iPhone 15 should be arriving.
Wow.
And I was like, should I buy a 13, a 14, a 15? But the main reason that I'm upgrading again from my SE is for the camera because of work. I use it. I shoot video and stuff.
Oh, the
That
cameras too.
the 15 is a
Fantastic now.
gigantic upgrade,
Yeah.
and with the camera and three camera thing going on there. And anyways, as soon as I got talking to Scott, he was like, "Oh, I didn't hit send yet, and on it, I didn't hit buy yet." And he's like, "Oh, dude, that's gonna be great. You do this for a living." So then I hit it while he was
While
talking.
you
He
were
just
talking.
because he just psyched me into it. But here's my point: as we were going through this conversation, one of the last things I said to him is, "Look, dude, you're in the epicenter of what is going on with awareness versus wokeness and all of that." And I said,
He is.
yeah, I said, so you got your thumb on the pulse. What do you think's going on? Here's what he said. And this speaks to what you were just talking about we were talking about the voters and Newsom, and he should have gotten recalled, all that. But at this point, like the recall, what was that like
Years ago.
3 years ago?
Yeah.
4 years. Now things have gotten, I mean, we had to go through all of the Biden administration fiasco, right?
Yeah.
Scott says, look, he goes, it's like there's three contingents here. And he goes, there's that core that will never change their minds, they'll never awaken no matter what. You and I just had that
Right.
conversation.
Right.
He goes, but on the other far end of it, you got a lot of people that were just barely there. They're all changing their minds and they're starting to persuade people that are in the middle contingent to even start to wake up. That was a very optimistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Glad to hear
maybe we
that.
are getting there.
Maybe.
I know,
I've
maybe.
I've learned this about California. You just can't hang your hat on it.
Yeah,
You just
that's a
can't. Like
fact.
when you think, oh, maybe no, it's
Yeah,
not. It's not
yeah.
happening. I just don't
A
have any
natural
hope.
disaster come by and they'll all go climate change and
Right,
get
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't have any. I lost faith in their ability to come out of that hole. And here's what I hate is that now they've become a blight on the rest of the country.
Oh,
We've got to
wow.
pay for their mistakes. And they're not mistakes really. These are they blatantly run into this like the high speed rail. They spent billions of dollars on the high speed
And
rail
they're
in
homeless.
California. And but look, this has been going on for like 15 years. They've built a total of like 3 miles of track.
That's one minor example out of many.
I mean,
Billions
it
and
is.
billions and billions of dollars unaccounted for.
Look at the fires that happened and how the water wasn't in those reservoirs. Why not? Because of their thing they
Right.
got going on within the environmentalists, the hardcore leftists that are really hell bent on destroying
Hmm.
that land.
Hmm.
Why do they? It's like, well, we want to protecting the land to the point of destroying it seems
They
pretty
need better.
counterproductive.
We need to move on, but put a cap on this. They need record keeping. They need an accountant there
Right, yeah,
because
that's
they
for
can't
sure.
account for their money, where the money goes.
I hear you. We should go to that Harvard story. That's a good one.
Okay, okay, okay. Let me read two short paragraphs and let's see what you got to say. So, Trump targets Harvard and foreign students. The Trump administration has frozen over $2 billion in federal funding to Harvard University, citing the institution's refusal to comply with demands to alter certain policies and programs. Now, what are those policies? Additionally, actions have been initiated to revoke the visas of international students involved in pro Palestinian protests, leading to legal challenges and court interventions.
Wow.
Yeah, that will lead into segues into my whole thing about the woke right. And
Yeah.
there's such a battle cry for calling everyone an anti Semite now that doesn't agree with the war with Israel. And, I wanted to ask you this is kind of an aside, but not in my notes at all. But from a religious point of view, how does this affect you?
The Harvard thing.
No,
Is that
no, I'm sorry. Let's go back to that because I went straight all the way into
yeah, we're in
Israel
Israel
and
now.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I'm all over.
How does the war affect me? Is that what you're asking
Yeah,
me?
but because it's there's the Trump is like all pro Israel. That's where
Yeah.
all of his campaign funding came from. He's
Right.
bought in that regard, and they're calling. There's lots of factions of conservatives calling people anti-Semites if they speak out against it. My stance is very
Hmm.
simple. It's the same as every place else. Is there another option? Can you
Yeah.
negotiate? Can you do some fundraising so the oil rich Middle East can take care of their own freaking problems instead of a country $37 trillion in debt? Let's make some sense here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, but the point is about the woke. Everybody on the right, conservative, is supposed to be anti-woke, yet they're acting woke. They're using
I
bigotry.
understand what you're saying. Yeah. So, from a Christian point of view on this whole thing, I feel like I have to be very, very cautious on what I'm supporting in Israel. First and foremost is that I don't know what's going on in Israel, right?
Yeah,
I can only tell what I'm being told is
yeah.
going on over
There
there.
we go with that again, right?
And so I do understand that we're being manipulated. I understand that there's a military industrial complex that the globalists and many others are making lots of money off of. It's Death
Billions,
Incorporated, and
billions.
that they've started wars all over the world, and
Yep.
they've done it for hundreds of years now. This is how they've amassed huge amounts of money and power. So when we see these types of things, we always have to be cautious when there's killings and murderings that are going on and rapings. This is all bad. Like I can't, you can't just say, "Well, I support all of this," and then the next layer is that you're dealing with governments, right? Like we're not necessarily dealing with individuals, we're dealing with governments, and by that definition alone causes me to not trust what the rhetoric is that's coming out of the government, whether it's Jewish or
I don't trust
American
any
or
of it.
Russian, or I don't care. It's they have an agenda, and inside of their DNA is absolute power. They want absolute power over their citizens. Now, as a Christian, I am for the Jews, and I am for Jesus as a Jew, and Christianity is the next step of Judaism. We're in the same family, and so I'm for a Jewish state, where Jewish people can live. That is their homeland, and they should be able to live there in safety. And also, the charter is that anybody else can live there as well, whether you're a Muslim or you're any other religion or race, you can live there. That is the charter. I believe in that.
But it
So
doesn't seem they live by that.
well, if you take a look at the population, there's millions of Muslims that live in Israel. But there's not millions of Jews that live in Gaza. So this is kind of a thing where you have to look at what do I believe is going on over
Okay,
there?
but
And
let's
I'm
not
back
go
to I don't
too in
know.
the weeds, because where I'm at is I think it's really arrogant that the United States is supposed to fund their war and just have
I do
our
too.
business all up their ass.
I don't think that we should fund anybody's war. I
Exactly.
totally agree with you. I do believe that we should support our allies, but I don't think that we should fight their wars for them or be the financial
It's a
arm of their
bamboozle.
war. I don't want to
That's
be
a
the banker for their war.
Right. And that's why I wanted to back up a little bit, because we're
Yeah,
just falling for the propaganda, the smoke screen, because a country that's $37 trillion in debt doesn't make any sense to be funding a
no, this
war
is
over there.
this that exactly, and that's where I look at the military industrial complex
Of
is the
course, is my
culprit here,
point.
right?
Yes, exactly my
Right.
point.
And this
Uh,
is why, I mean, anytime I see any wars, I have to look at that first because,
for sure.
the
We
whole
sure as hell
thing that
don't have
they've
a good
done.
track record.
No, and what they've done is they've incited emotions on one side versus the other so that you can't see that they're like pulling the marionette strings and causing you to
Yeah.
do this. And then you think that guy's the enemy. And he
Yeah.
thinks you're they look at the Civil War, our Civil War, brothers, cousins killing each other. Meanwhile, when you look at the background on this whole thing, it's the marionette dolls again, and they're
Yeah.
being forced to kill brothers,
Yeah.
family, and really all of that could have been avoided.
You know, it was Private Ryan when we were in college. That movie came out, was the first time, from my point of view, that a movie came out that didn't romanticize and simplify war, make it almost comic book like. It was real. You heard the bullets whizzing by people.
Boy, I
And
tell you,
dude,
that was a changer. That was a game
that made
changer
the
for me.
hair on my arm stand
I
up.
have
That kind of.
goosebumps just thinking about
Hmm.
that D-Day scene. I couldn't get past that for the
Yeah.
first few times I
Right.
watched it. It was too intense for me.
And that was the beginning of our awakening to the horrors of war. And it's not hard for me now at 59 years old. There's such clarity that comes with age, compassion and less ego and stuff like that. To think about, and we talked before about the dispersion effect of when you have such a dispersion of responsibility, your one little tiny grain of sand opinion seems to not mean so much. But if you really just callously say, "Yeah, we got to go kill those muffers," or go to war with them or whatever, you are condemning other people's children, sons, and frankly, when you bomb an apartment building to kill a military head or whatever is claimed, and all the other families die in there, That's
Yeah.
still murder, man.
You take a look at wars and the civilian versus soldier casualty, it's usually 3 to 1. And I mean
It's
one
awful.
soldier to three
Yes,
civilians. More
yes.
civilians die. And so, I mean, this is really
And
something
there's that
to think
statistic.
about.
There's a term for it that the general, I forget the general's name, that quoted this, and he said it's 10 minus 2 equals 20. And what that means is that if your target is two military people and then but you also kill 10 innocents, well, those three little girls in there that died had brothers and cousins and uncles that all just became part of the resistance as a result.
Right on. That is, I see exactly what you're talking about right there.
Believe
Hey,
that one.
we were talking about Harvard, and you were
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
lead into how
yeah.
that the woke bigotry on this whole thing. I was interested in that.
Well, okay, let's. Do you have a comment on? I read the paragraph about Trump administration's frozen $2 billion in federal funding to Harvard because of refusal to comply with demands over certain policies, and it initiated to revoke visas. Additionally, actions been initiated to revoke visas of international students involved in pro-Palestine. That's what it's about: pro-Palestinian protests, and so leading to legal challenges and court interventions. So, it comes down to freedom of speech. We've danced along this before in the last couple of weeks, and there's been some suggestion about, well, they're not really American citizens, so they don't really have this amount of freedom. Um, I don't know. I think that it's very necessary in the United States to hear opposing sides.
Agreed.
And I'm really, really dismayed by the Trump administration even getting close to touching upon this anti-free speech thing. And with federal funding at risk here, using federal
Well,
funding as a tool.
here's and there's a couple of things too that are going on these campuses. Like for instance, I've got an article here is that 30% of students at Harvard are foreign, which means our tax dollars are subsidizing these students, and
Yeah, yeah.
most of them are from China.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's been a
So that's a
tradition.
good that we're getting that money, but they're also infiltrating.
Well, that's the big thing. And when you take a look at World War II, yeah, which is one of my favorite wars to study, we had the
It's your favorite war.
Japanese. Yeah, it's my favorite war. I like to go on long walks. No, it's a lot of these Japanese generals were educated here in our colleges, and that's been a thing where our enemies come here to be educated. They want to find out what our secrets are. A lot of these secrets are being researched on
Didn't
our
we
college
train
campuses.
Osama bin Laden?
That's what I've heard.
I've heard that
Things
many
like that. Yeah,
times.
yeah. And so this is the thing is that, you were looking at these colleges right now, and they're lots of foreign influence. I just heard about how Qatar was infusing money into Texas A&M on a big
Yes, I've
way in
heard that.
order to influence them. These China's doing it all the time. We're seeing this happen, and at the same time, our colleges have turned into giant protest centers, and you have to think about where that money is coming from, because the people that are protesting have brand new signs, lots of colors. I remember when I was in college, I'm not going to spend money on a brand new sign. I'm going to spend it on beer, or whatever. They've turned our colleges into activist centrals against the United States. And when you
That's
take
your
a look at Harvard,
accusation. But the fact
that
of the
is my
matter is, I
accusation.
know universities, back to even when we were there, it's kind of like that's your passage right into adulthood is to protest something.
But is it supposed to be like that? Remember, you and I went to Kent State. Kent State is notorious for being
Boy,
infiltrated
they
as
beat that dead
well
horse.
by the
Yeah.
Weathermen Underground. They're the ones that actually spurred that whole thing to happen. But we never heard that story. We were told it was about something completely different, and this all led this all had everything to do with what was happening in Vietnam, where we're killing people. It's murder incorporated again. It's the military industrial complex that's happening. It's hard to see if there were any good guys that were involved in any of this whatsoever on either side of the coin. And with that being said, I got this. I just wanted to play this for a
Mhm.
little bit because I was thinking about this whole thing with Harvard and everything, and I saw this video. Pretty shocking. It's talking about it's showing a bunch of articles that have happened over the last few years in these college campuses
All
and the
white
newspapers.
genocide, white supremacy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Rutgers lecturer tweeted about shooting white people. Rutgers professor on white people. We got to
Can
take
you
those
pause that for a
MRFers out.
minute?
Yeah,
First of all, you got to turn that sound down. It's just
not
we
sure
can't
how
even.
to turn that.
Oh,
Oh,
there
here
you
it is.
go. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's really.
And because people listening, we need to explain what's
Let's
going
go
on.
back to the first
Yeah,
one
yeah,
here,
yeah, yeah.
which was abolish the white race. This
And
is
now
from
this can go right back to that what's her name gay that was president there at woke
yes.
as hell that plagiarized 56 plus papers and still got hired to be president. And she's very anti-white, as I
Still
recall.
works there.
Yeah, yeah, as a professor, which is amazing to me. And oh God, I forget how it went, but she couldn't she couldn't defend Israelis because they were whiter than the Palestinians, which is what it came down to. That
Wow.
is her method of ranking
Yeah,
humans.
it's pretty awful. Out of
Yeah, it
Harvard
was bad.
Magazine, it's abolish the white race. The goal of abolishing the white race is on its face so desirable that some may find it hard to believe that it could incur any opposition other than from committed white supremacists. Make no mistake about it. We intend to keep bashing the dead white males and the live ones and the females too until the social construct known as the white race is destroyed, not deconstructed, but destroyed. And this is,
Now, who's the author of this? I mean, I could
um,
make that in Photoshop in a minute.
you
So
could, sure, but there's a lot of these that have the
I
author
want
on here.
authors, man. I'm not trust. Okay, there's one. Okay.
There's lots of them actually. There's lots of articles that are saying the same kind of stuff with it. It's got the credit on here. It's
White
Washington
supremacy
Times.
causes black citizens. Oh, of course, white has got to be an issue. Black has to be an
This
issue
one's a good one.
to
To commit
commit
anti-Asian.
hate crimes. Oh my God. Let's read that again. White supremacy causes black citizens to commit anti-Asian hate crimes, Colorado professor claims. And
This is what's
there's
happening on our
a
college
name put to
campuses
that
right
one
now.
in the Washington
So,
Times.
yeah, I mean, it's all through this. We're going to see who, not all of them are fully accredited, but we can see a college professor wants white genocide dismissed.
Okay, that says okay.
Oh,
Dean's
sorry.
unlearning. No, that's all right. It's your mic was kind of going out. Columbia hosts deconstructing whiteness workshop. Wow. Yeah, you
Have
know,
fun.
what's his name's God on the Daily Wire, that show that was so cringy. I told you, Matt Walsh. His what was the name of that show?
It's
Movie.
something about a leftist.
Oh God,
Yeah,
but it
leftist.
was all about
What
him.
is leftist? Yeah.
And it took me at least four sittings to watch the whole hour and a half because it was so cringy, but I highly recommend everybody watch it soon enough. It has to come out onto, God, I don't know who'll pick that up. I was going to say Netflix wouldn't touch that. Well, anyways, let's go on with this. Educators slam for suggesting abolishment of whiteness and white people by Alex Schemmel of the National Desk. So,
And
okay, let's.
I mean, it's all over. What we're seeing here is this war on the whiteness, white supremacy. White
Mhm.
people are bad. This is a theme that's happening in our colleges right now, and we're seeing that it's going after the majority of Americans. It's making it so that there's a division between white people and the rest of the races here, as if we need to have something like that happening. But it seems like today college education is super expensive, and
Oh, it's
parents save up
unsustainable.
all their lives to be able to provide a better
It's
life
gonna
for their
change.
children, and they They send their children to these colleges, and the college starts the brainwashing machine. And when the kid comes back, there's no hope. You know,
That's true.
their
I've
world
witnessed it. I've
their
witnessed it.
world outlook is destroyed. They're angry at everything. The world is going to end in a couple of years anyhow because of global warming,
Yeah.
and that our country is evil and it should be destroyed. And we should be mocked and ridiculed. We should give away all of our money. And they're just unhappy people that
Yeah.
come out of this whole thing with
Agreed.
completely soul crushing experience.
Well, okay. So that we got all that from we started with the Harvard thing about Trump freezing funds. I
So I don't
just
know. Is that going to
uh,
work? I don't. It seems like it might actually cause, like you said, the 10 minus 2.
mm.
They're doing these things. Is it going to help? Are they already helplessly lost? Uh,
Oh, I do. I think it's two different subjects, though. I mean, right now, there's the immediate subject of Trump using $2 billion in federal funding to squelch free speech. There's that argument. But in the grander scheme of things, dude, I think colleges are done and over with as we've known. They're 100% infiltrated. They destroyed themselves. They can't come back. You can't
oh,
say
let
that.
me back up though. The DEI is a big part of the Harvard thing too. I mean, is DEI free speech? Or is it
What's that got to do with free
squelching
speech?
speech? Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is that the $2.2 billion isn't just about the protests that happened. It's everything about DEI was huge here. And this is what I'm trying to get to. DEI at its very core has everything to do with racism
Of course it
and
does. Yes.
and quota systems, and I'm going to favor a black person instead of a white person for this job simply because they're black. Then we look at all these articles that are coming out of these colleges saying white people are a cancer and we should kill them. And here's what I'm saying is, why should the federal government fund that? And so Trump is pulling that out. Is that going to actually help, or is it going to cause these people to become more on fire? I don't know. I think it's wrong that our college campuses have become this bastion of hate for the country, because
For
that's what's
sure.
happened.
For sure.
And something needs to be done.
Let me ask you something. You got a few good points there. For one,
Thanks.
the DEI thing that's almost a different issue, but ties right into affirmative action. All of that is racist. Shouldn't all of it be
That's
done
what I'm
away with?
saying. That's exactly what I'm
If you're
saying.
going to apply for a job and at the bottom it has the boilerplate about we don't discriminate on the blah 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 blah, then you probably shouldn't be making such an effort to ask what the pronouns were and sex
Right.
and blah blah blah. Why would it matter? So that's a contradiction. So there's that. What the hell was I just going to say? Okay, this is the other thing I was going to say. So all of the articles about anti-white, anti-white, anti-white. Let's just to make it clear, what if a college, a different college, somewhere that people didn't know about, all of a sudden discovered it was a bunch of black hate speech. It was true white supremacy, said anti-black stuff is uncovered in all these different articles,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
What would happen? I mean, from a legal standpoint, is there a law that says we're going to shut you down and prosecute you based on racial discrimination? I guess there is, right?
Yeah, because you can't. There's Title IX. I mean, there's all these things. So federal institutions aren't allowed to discriminate against you because of your race or your sex. And so, yeah, they can shut you down for that kind of thing. And that's exactly what the DOJ is looking at with these college campuses, is that you can't discriminate like this. You can't uh, uh, um, terrorize Jewish students on your campus. That's
All right,
really
let
what
me ask you
happened.
this. Is it being conflated that the way that I interpreted this, Jesus, the way I interpreted the framing of this issue is that we're withholding $2 billion in federal funding because of pro-Palestinian protests.
That's here's an article that I have here, which is talking about the same thing, is that it is including those, but federal government says it's freezing the 2.2 billion in grants and contracts. Institution says Monday it won't comply. The list at Harvard was updated Friday and includes government and leadership reforms, as well as requirement to institution what it calls merit-based admissions and hiring policy instead of DEI, merit-based hiring. This is at the core of this whole thing. It also includes an audit of the the study body and faculty on their views about diversity, as well as a ban on face masks, which appeared to target pro-Palestinian protesters. So it's not all about pro-Palestinian protesters. At the core of this is DEI.
Well, all right. I think that's a little conflated then. So I don't know
Well,
what to
why
do with it.
not? Why not? Right? I mean, this is the thing is
Yeah, it's
where
true.
we talked about this from the beginning. Where is the truth in this whole thing? What we
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
know is that we have seen at Harvard where they have a black graduation and then graduation for everybody else.
Oh,
Like
yeah. That's
what? What kind
awful.
of crap is that? Can you
Yeah.
imagine when we went to Kent at the graduation? I'm like, Barry, it was great knowing you. Go to your white graduation. I'm going to my black one.
Boy, that sheds light on that, doesn't it? Oh
Right? And
God.
that's
No,
Harvard.
that's
That's
awful.
supposed to be the premier institution in the world, actually.
I
And yet they've gone back to this Jim Crow kind of thing.
yeah,
And
I
when I
think
say
they're
Jim
done.
Crow, it's usually, oh, black people are being discriminated. No, I think any discrimination against race should be labeled Jim Crow.
It's amazing, everything's always overcorrection. The pendulum's got to swing, then it swings back too far the other
Yeah,
way. And
yeah.
that's what they've done with everything. I mean, the women's movement, well, look, you had all your equal rights for decades now. It's not okay, let's not throw men under the bus and well, the future is all women now. God, that would be awful. Um, but it's done with everything. I mean, so the same thing now. Okay, anti-white, like as if they think that that's going to balance stuff out. Racism is racism. Let's go
Yeah,
back to Sesame Street again. Two
yeah, yeah.
wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah,
Okay,
fixing
let's learn
racism
that.
doesn't mean be racist. I'm going to fix
Exactly.
racism by being racist, and that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
And to your point earlier, if all these college campuses were pumping out articles about black genocide, everybody would be all up in arms and we'd be marching down Main Street.
Yeah.
But if it's against white people, crickets.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, people are people. Like you can't act like that towards anybody because they're human beings and human beings have dignity.
There we go. I'm gonna have to go soon. Do
Yeah,
you
me
want to
too.
talk about? I'm going to save the bimbos in space for the lighter side. But do you want to just briefly? I don't know if we can do this briefly. I kept talking about the woke right and just using the "you're a
Or
bigot"
the
thing.
woke right. That is really crazy that there's a woke right.
You know what? We talked about, there was a confusion. It started about a year and a half ago or something. I don't know what woke is. And, it's just calling you a bigot if you don't agree with what I say. It's, you're a racist if you vote for Trump because somehow that makes sense.
Right.
That's really all it is. But there's been a lot of examples of right-wing figures labeling people Islamophobe, anti-Semites if they don't agree, if there's any criticism of anything that, hey, I'm
Yeah.
not agreeing with all this Israel stuff, Netanyahu crap. I used to like him. Now
Me
I feel
too.
like I've been bamboozled by him
I
left
feel the
and right.
same way. All
Yeah,
these guys. It's like I
yeah.
just learned the hard way. If you're a politician, then I need to like look at you from the corner of my eye.
Were you anything like me? You're always so ahead of the curve with politics than me. But I would always hear as a kid, like, oh, he's a politician, he's a snake. And I just always
Mhm.
wonder, like, why? What do you mean? And
Yeah,
now it's like totally know what you mean,
I know. I thought lawyers and politicians were the best of breed. Now I found
Right.
out they're the best of the worst.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think we have time to read through all this, but I just had chat come up with a bunch of examples. There's Heritage Foundation's Project Esther. There's Texas Governor Greg Abbott's executive order. If you want me to read any one of these descriptions, I will. Anti-Defamation League's ADL stance, arrest of, oh, dude, we didn't talk about that kid murderer.
Oh yeah, that was on your list. I haven't really been looking at that. It's a black kid kills a white kid over
Yeah.
some kind of petty stuff or where to sit in school,
And it gets off so far. It
and
gets
yeah,
off
he's
yeah.
gotten like $75,000 lopped off of
Yeah,
his
yeah.
bond. He's actually he's not in prison right now, but he murdered this white kid, and the kid's underground now.
And
So
and he got off so far. He got bail and everything reduced because of community involvement, things like this. He brought a freaking knife to a sporting event.
yeah, who would do that?
That's
Like
not
what?
great in the community, you
No,
know?
no. And also the leniency on the bail had to do with the parents in their financial situation. And turns out they live in a 800 plus thousand dollar
Mm,
home, and they obviously are paying like $3,200 a month. So this is definitely not a financially destitute
inequity
family
type
right
of
here.
thing. They're
Yeah,
trying to frame
exactly.
it as
So
always,
if
yeah,
yeah, this is what we're talking about.
yeah,
They're using race to kill our country is really what they're doing. And
always.
also, here's the other thing is that they've turned this into oh, well, this is all obviously about racism, right?
Right, right.
When the parents are, everyone is saying this has nothing to do with racism. This is one kid killed another kid, and not because he was black or this guy
Yeah.
is white. It's because this is wrong. And now you got all this controversy again. It's like the George Floyd kind of thing. Let's
Yeah,
use this and destroy everybody's life.
dude. And we also, crap, we didn't talk about that Florida mass shooting of yesterday or the day before.
I only heard about it. I don't know anything about that.
I had heard that there was some footage on it, and I couldn't find it just this morning. But it's bringing back up they use it every time to bring up the gun laws all over again. And
Of
boy,
course.
yeah, it seemed like I had some notes on it. A mass shooting. Here we go. Tragic mass shooting in Florida State University. Two deaths, multiple injuries. Incident reignited debates over gun control. Mass shooting occurred at FSU Student Union around noon on April 17th. That was yesterday. Wow. Two
Yeah.
individuals killed, six others injured. The suspect, 20-year-old FSU student Phoenix Eichner, was apprehended after being shot by police and is currently hospitalized with non-threatening injuries. That's a
Okay, so he
new.
lives. We're going to be able to dig into this and
That's
find
my
out what
point.
happened. That's going to be good.
Son of
Yeah,
a long-serving Leon County Sheriff's deputy had access to that weapon.
yeah.
That was his mother, former
So that's
service
going to be a
member.
big deal
Yes.
about gun control. But I think this is more a mental health kind of a thing that we're dealing with
Sure
right
would
now.
seem like it.
And but they're never going to look at it that way. And one of the studies that I saw recently had to deal with school shootings and I can't remember what the stats were, but it was something astounding about how
I'm
almost
glad
all
you
of these
brought that
people
up.
were on antidepressants.
Oh, that one. Yes. Yes. I definitely heard the same thing. I was going to talk about, I did a little digging. I saw a crazy statistic that made me go, I better look into that. So what's being tagged to this shooting is this incident marks the 81st mass shooting in the U.S. in 2025 and the 18th on a college campus in our fourth month of the year in 2025. I'm going to reread that. This
That
incident
sounded
marks
unbelievable.
That's why I looked into it. So I got a follow up there. 81st mass shooting in the U.S. in 2025, 4 months. And
That
the
can't be right.
18th on a college campus. So I looked into that. And this is the source is Gun Violence Archive, GVA,
Uh-huh.
which defines a mass shooting as four or more people shot, not necessarily killed, in a single incident. The definition includes gang
Gotcha.
violence. This is important. The definition includes gang violence, domestic disputes, and other non-public and non-random shootings. So it inflates what most people think of as mass shootings.
I know now that you said that, they probably had like 80 of them last weekend in Chicago.
There you go. Right. Exactly. So yes, it's technically accurate by that metric, but it can
Right.
mislead people into thinking there have been 81 school style massacres this year. There have not. As of April 18th, today, the FBI has not released specific statistics regarding the number of mass shootings on college campuses for the year, because I specifically looked that up.
Right. Right.
However, the recent tragic event at Florida yesterday brought renewed attention to campus safety and gun violence. So look at how
Oh,
they
they spun it.
manipulate this,
Yeah,
spin it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. To make you think, oh my God, how is it that I missed all of these mass shootings? And then when you,
Why do they want to cause such hysteria to
this
that?
is the whole thing, is the fear campaign that they're on here. And look, if yes, guns can be used for these heinous things. We see it, but for by and large, people that own guns aren't going around shooting people.
Well,
They
dude,
have them for self-defense.
we never saw or heard of anything like this when we were in college. So this is incredibly disturbing. But I mean, this is going to sound cliche for me to say it. I'm very neutral on guns. I don't like guns. I don't have a gun, but I think I should have one to be responsible for home defense. I do. That's my honest opinion. Um, um, Crap, what was I going to say about? Oh, so we never seen or heard of this when we were kids, but now it's happening all the time. That is true. This
That is true.
is a mental health thing
That's
that needs looked at. It is
I
not a gun
agree.
thing.
Yes, I agree. And, we were talking
What
about
we've done to our
colleges before
kids.
and what's happening at college campuses right now, where they're absolutely stealing your hope
Yeah,
and about your future. And I
you're
think
right.
that if you don't have any hope about your future, that these kinds of things are more apt to happen. And we also see where these are very anti-God locations. Even when we were kids in college, Barry, I remember the whole thing where I'd be at the Kent State Student Center, and some crazy guy would come dragging a huge cross up there, and then all the students would surround that guy and just start mocking him. And that guy had to be hired by some anti-Christian place too, because the things that he was saying were just outrageous, not in the Bible. I remember he said something like, well, what would you do if a woman was wearing a short skirt? And he went, I would whip that filly into shape. Like, I remember thinking, like, that's how you're representing Christianity. And
That's so
so these
funny.
are just places where they beat up Christ like a pinata. And we're seeing this whole thing. And here's the other thing, that article I was reading about anti-anxiety medication, is that it takes away your high and your low, so you're kind of in that place where you're not having any feelings, and now you've taken the hope away. These kind of things are much easier. Like, they happen a lot
It
easier.
ties into what we are just talking about too with the anti-white thing, the
Exactly.
anti-male, toxic
It's just hate. It's
masculinity.
just hate, hate,
What,
hate,
but you're
hate,
doing
hate.
it to these young kids. I mean, and
You're programming them.
it's really come up. I mean, the awareness has certainly come about what we're doing to both alienating boys and girls from each other, telling them that
Right.
boys are toxic and women are all powerful and all the programming that goes along with it. And it's like, hey, man, we need to really get back to some common sense about our roles. We're different and we complement each other, and we need to celebrate that.
I
Because the
agree.
anxiety we have created these mass shootings.
That's exactly right. And then we want to blame it on an inanimate object like a gun. I mean, I could use a baseball bat and accomplish things as well. It's not the gun
Yeah,
that's
right.
doing it.
It's
People
a
get in their
tool.
cars and they mow down people. I mean, it's not
Right,
the car, it's the person behind the
right,
wheel.
right.
And we have to look in their brain. That's where this is emanating from.
For sure. And I'm going to have to finish up, Merle. Do
Yeah,
you
let's
have
do that.
anything? Okay,
No, no, no.
okay.
This is good because I want to talk about this chicks in space thing.
Yeah, the fake bimbos in fake space. Um, so what do you make? I got some footage on it for what that's worth. But first of all, this was sprung upon us. It seems, and it sounds so Elon Musk too. To just like, it's like he thought of it on
But it
Monday.
wasn't Musk, it was Bezos.
Oh, was it? So that's why you put his Barbie doll, that blow up doll in there?
Ah, that's it. This
Okay, what
isn't
do you
Elon Musk. This is Jeff Bezos, the owner of
Oh,
Amazon, the former head of the Washington Post, with
oh.
his wife, who's like 40 years younger than him. She's some kind of a model. And so she picked out these people and even designed the uniforms that they're wearing.
That's funny. And Katy Perry was on there.
She
Bezos's
was.
wife is, if they're married now, I don't recall, but she's actually
Yeah, it could
not a
be his
model.
girlfriend.
She's an like a journalist of some
Oh,
sort.
is she? Well,
And she
she's
is
very
not
pretty.
that young, dude. She's been
Oh,
under a
really?
lot of
She
surgery.
looks like it.
If she gets that mouth pulled back one more time, the corners will be touching in the back. Um, so I just kind of thought like maybe there's a study, but first of all, there's that fake space thing. Like, how far did they go up? I mean, what they can technically call space is like just really high.
Right.
Um, so, anyways, I have not looked at this footage, but so let's check it out together. Uh,
Okay.
To explain.
You should make that
Touching
bigger.
down in Texas,
yeah.
kicking up
Make
plumes of
this, yeah.
dust.
Congratulations
There you go.
and welcome back to Earth.
The all-female flight, starring Katy Perry and TV personality Gayle King, on board Bezos's six-seater Blue Origin, could be
Very
described
interesting
as a
shape of
roaring
that.
I would call that a phallic symbol, to
I
say
mean,
the
it
least.
looks like a flying. I
Yep.
can't even say.
success, lasting a total
Yes,
of
I don't think
11
that was
minutes.
lost on
But
anyone.
it's this
No,
moment
and
that's
so
caught
So
the
this
the head
was
of it lands
11
right
minutes.
there.
As I recall, this is a total of 11 minutes. It's not like they touched
Okay.
the moon or
attention
anything.
of conspiracy
Right.
theorists.
I love this
The
part.
hatch opening from the
Just open the
inside,
door.
minutes before Bezos uses
The way
a
he
tool
kicks it
to
open.
open it.
Did
all
they get him when he
cardboard.
did you see the part where he face plants? I don't know if it's in here.
Audio.
No, I didn't see that.
The argument
door
online
seems like a
is
piece
that a
of
pressure-proof
cardboard.
hatch
This
shouldn't
looks
be
like a
able to
treehouse I
open
built
so
when I was a
easily
kid.
from the inside.
Exactly.
Doors are also on spacecraft able to be opened both by the inside and the outside. This is a very common trait, and that is for safety reasons.
So, was the entire spaceflight
God,
staged,
this is so
or were they
cringe.
just waiting for the cameras?
What's up
After
with the
all,
flower?
the event had no
Oh, so
shortage
cringe.
of theatrics.
While the
Okay.
door
She
can open
kissed the
both.
So
ground.
you
Oh
got
my
a
God.
spaceship thing here that was built by a bunch of men so that we can send up these BIMs. Why? What is the purpose? What is the statement that is supposed? And I mean that as a serious question. There is a statement here. What is it?
Uh, I don't know what it is. That's a good
Both
question
ways for
because I'm
safety
looking at
reasons.
this, and this is idiocracy right here.
Yeah, yeah. They
Seriously.
probably will end this thing. Well, that's total. It's another minute. They probably will be like, and this is at the end. This is a celebration of women's accomplishments. I bet it
Oh,
will.
for sure.
Bezos wanted to be opening the door for his fiance. Like,
Well, there it
yeah,
is.
it was staged. A lot of this all is for show. That's why a pop singer went into space.
But while we're debunking doubt, is 11 minutes really long enough to get you to the edge of space?
The boundary of
Fake
space
space.
internationally is only 100 kilometers. So you can make it in your Toyota Corolla in an hour if you really need it.
So, buckle up. Space tourism could soon become the next road trip. Paris Martin for 10
Yep.
News.
There we go.
I'm sorry, but my first impression when I saw that was anger, and it was really because when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, and I really wanted to be an
First.
astronaut. We've talked about this before about how
Dude's
much
all.
Tang I drank,
Ah,
and I never made it to space, but it always was portrayed to me as very prestigious, scientific miracle. People have been gazing up into space since the beginning of mankind and wanting to know what was up there. I think about the beginning of Star Trek and the final frontier and
Oh,
how
yeah.
this is a big deal. And now there's Katy Perry holding a little flower, looking all cross-eyed. I was like you totally cheapened space. Now when I look up there, I got to think about that.
yeah. That was so cringe, all of
It
that.
was. It was so
I
stupid.
thought it was a Musk thing. It was Bezos. Now it
It,
kind
it,
of
it
all
makes a
adds
lot
up.
more sense
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's Bezos, especially the shape of that capsule. Come
Yeah.
on, man. I mean, it looks like a penis.
There, you finally said it.
Uh,
Yes,
I,
yes.
I, I, well, that's not what I was going to say, but it does look like a penis.
It had to be. It had to be intentional.
And then the top of it is the capsule, which lands. And they're making a big deal all around the top of a penis, is what it looks like. And then these women come out of it.
That's
It
probably a
seems like a
good
commentary on where we are in history right now. Literally, we're
idiocracy.
in idiocracy right
We are
now.
with our
That's good, Barry.
dude. I'd say it. I'm past due. I really got to go. I don't think I got a new AI tip from Mark today.
Ah, well, it is Good
Oh.
Friday. Maybe he's out today.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope. And with that, everybody, go to over50startingover.com, sign up for our email list. Get this as it happens, right to your email. No muss, no fuss. We're also on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Catch us there. All right.
Right on, Barry. Good one.
Hey there, over 50 starting over friends. Mark Tennant back with you with your AI tip of the week. This week, what's holding you back from adopting AI? I give a lot of talks and workshops here in and around the Northeast Ohio area, and I always get a great reaction from the attendees. They're stoked, they're ready to use AI, they leave there just exhilarated. And after a few weeks, I check back with them, and then I find that people are using ChatGPT and AI for one or two things, and then they just put it away. It's only used for essentially the use cases that I demonstrated in the workshop, and they just put it away. Sadly, most people are missing the point. And the point is AI literacy is no longer a nice to have. It's a necessity. It's a requirement, especially if you're over 50, because you have to work for a few more years, maybe 15 more years, and you have to know this stuff. You have to know this stuff right now. You've got to learn it. Now is the time. AI literacy should be your number one goal professionally and personally in 2025. And besides, it's really a lot of fun. So in the next couple of seconds here, we're going to talk about ChatGPT and everything it can do for you. Maybe you have no idea about this, so we're going to run through these really quick. ChatGPT, as you know, this you should know. It can write anything. It could write emails. It could write your autobiography if you just talk to it. It could write social media posts. It could write flyers. It could write resumes. It can write anything, even speeches. It talks to you, and we talk about this all of the time, out loud, like a real-time personal assistant. Ask questions, get advice, practice your presentations, and have conversations with the AI. It can create images, and now with the new image creating capability of ChatGPT, it's lifelike. It's unbelievable. You can describe a scene or any idea, and boom, it will create that picture for you. It'll create that slide deck presentation. It'll create pictures for your website or just for fun. Because as we said, AI is a lot of fun. It can summarize and explain. You could take long reports, long articles. Have you ever had somebody send you something and go, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through 15 pages of this when it's boring anyway? Feed it into the AI. It'll summarize it. And if you're still confused and you don't get it, it'll explain it to you like you're 5 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, whatever. It analyzes data. You can paste in an Excel spreadsheet or the information from that spreadsheet, customer views, it finds patterns, it highlights trends, and it saves you a bunch of time when you analyze data with ChatGPT. You can create your own AI helper. We talk about this all of the time. You can build a custom GPT. Yes, your own little ChatGPT within ChatGPT, one that talks like your brand, it teaches your process, or it answers your questions from employees or customers 24/7. Video generation is something. Now, Sora is so much better. It'll generate longer videos, up to 30 seconds, I believe. And all you have to do is just ask it to create a short video from 1 or 2 sentences. It's not about a tech thing. It really isn't. It's about asking questions. It's about describing what you need and letting AI take it from there. Just talk to the AI. We say it all the time. So again, what's holding you back from adopting AI? I have a new podcast out. We've got a new episode coming up this week. It's called AI After 50, and I hope you check it out wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And until next time, keep prompting, Keep using AI every day. Adopt it. Do it today.